Then, and of course, they had to follow the zombies too. The zombies came before that. So it was disrespectful to, their main event, supposed one of their world champions. And I got to be honest with you, Cesaro and Reigns for another one of the men's championships. If this had been on any other show, you could see that not only do they have a star in Reigns, they've elevated Cesaro, but they ended up being Olivier and Redgrave, in the going on last at the 5th grade school play. They had a tremendous performance on a show that had already been established. It was all caca. And you shouldn't believe or invest in or get excited, whatever, anything. Nothing is to be taken seriously on a show with zombies and fucking tomfoolery. And then they tried to go out, and these guys kill themselves to be professionals. They're being let down by the fucking company and everybody involved in this other horse shit. I did like that Pat McAfee said he's the hottest wrestler in sports entertainment. Talk about a way to get around the fucking ban of calling them wrestlers. And I was shocked. Wait, a wrestling match. They're wrestling. Is Roman Reigns' glove hand injured, or is that the way he gets his headlock grip all the time? That's an old, although he doesn't cinch it up as good. Tommy Gilbert used to grab a headlock that way, grabbing his wrist instead of interlocking his fingers. But it looks odd for Reigns to do it to me. I don't know. I noted that Paul Heyman gives ringside instructions like a maitre d' suggesting a meal. Well, you could do this. So you could do that, But no, these guys, they were working. There was a baby face and a heel. They had the pacing up and down. The shit makes sense. It looks good. Cesaro even took a klutzy bump to the floor so that he could sell his uppercut arm instead of taking a regular bump and selling it. They worked hard. They did everything right. I even wrote here, I felt bad for them. They had to be on this show. And how fucked up is it that you have to say that when guys are on a pay-per-view from the biggest company in the world, and you have to say, boy, it's so embarrassing for them. They had to be on this show. They're doing so well. Cesaro, I keep wanting to say Claudio. Cesaro did a corkscrew dive and wiped Roman Reigns out with it. And that was the only dive in the whole goddamn match. So it was refreshing.
And it looked good.
And it looked good. Because you didn't say Roman Reigns wasn't waiting for it, and it was one guy trying to wipe out one guy instead of a idiot doing a fucking backwards triple Lindy onto 16 midgets from fucking the Lollipop Guild. I loved that forearm into the barricade, and then the crossbody off the top. It was a good false finish. At that point, I was buying that Cesaro could win it because, let's face it, we talked before on the Backlash preview that is probably a little quick for Cesaro to suddenly be, in the main events after the way they've booked him for the past fucking 10 years or whatever. But Reigns was doing a good job as Cesaro shit's credible enough. You were starting to think, well, they have screwier finishes. Maybe they might switch it. But he looked credible. And then when Reigns took back over, Claudio sold his ass off and fought from underneath. And his arm was all welted and marked up from all the shit they were doing. And then he made a comeback and did that outside-in superplex on Roman Reigns. And I know everybody's going to say, well, they know how to go up for suplexes. Fuck you. Try those goddamn physics where you're picking up a 270-pound guy or whatever while you're standing on the bottom rope inside the ring and you've got to get him up and clear him. It's fucking amazing. But then I loved the match up until the finish. Claudio got the sharpshooter. He got the crossface. Reigns turned out of it, hit him with a power bomb. At that point, I was thinking, boy, it's starting to be time to go. And if they really can nail something here. And then all of a sudden they did the thing where Reigns rolled through and got the guillotine. And Cesaro didn't get out of it, but he picked him up and powerbombed him, but he held it. So then he got out of it, but then back in, but then he pulled out of it a little bit, but then back in. And then the referee rang the bell. And I went back and I timed it. From the time that Reigns rolled through on the guillotine, with the only real change in position being that Cesaro picked him up and powerbombed him and he didn't let go and they were right back in the same position. 1 minute and 20 seconds in a stationary position, and the heel beats the babyface flat by just choking him out right there in the middle of the ring. That was the flattest fucking... Since when did... People are talking about how boring wrestling was supposed to have been in the 60s. Did you ever see Bruno hold a bear hug on a heel for 1 minute and 20 seconds and then he fucking submitted? Or did they...
Or a heel win without cheating, something
or
like
a
this.
heel win without cheating. And even if they want the heel to win without cheating, can't it be that the fucking babyface goes for a high impact something and misses it and rings his own bell and then gets fucking hammered with a goddamn boom? If you're elevating Cesaro especially, then have him get beat 1, 2, 3 on a close one that he slipped on a banana peel and fucking got his bell rung and then he got beat, but it could have been different the next time. Well, the whole match, it could have been different the next time until Reigns just fucking grabbed him, held him down in the same place for 1 minute and 20 seconds and choked him out. I don't understand the modern thought process behind these finishes where, as we mentioned McIntyre lost a couple of times after he beat Brock Lesnar in the same calendar year, which that is crazy to me. Lashley put McIntyre out with the fucking full Nelson that they weren't even using as a finish still when Bruno was champion. And I explained that you can get that over as a finish, but on a pay-per-view against a top fucking babyface, you do it a different way. All these finishes are just, you're supposed to build to the big pop. A main event championship match is like one of the better fucking jack-off sessions you've ever had. And if you get it just right at the end, boom! Or you can just squeeze hard and don't move your hand for 1 minute and 20 seconds. I didn't get that finish at all. I loved the match. Finish was fucking death. What'd you think?
Really liked the match. Thought it was great. Not as negative about the finish, although I'm not crazy about it. Like I said before, he's a heel. Just mowing through baby faces with no problem. Even in this case, without Jey Uso helping him. Also, I thought that, just it stands out. If you're going to have a company where you're going to have a serious champion in Lashley, or in this case in Roman Reigns, and you want them to beat baby faces cleanly, all right. If you're going to have a promotion where there are good guys and bad guys, but there are clean finishes and no silliness, I'm all for it. But you said,
there's a difference between a clean finish and a flat finish and a boring finish. What about a slam bang finish where fucking finally Reigns just fucking caught him coming off the ropes with a big spear, boom, and hooked his leg. Boom, 1, 2, 3. It's supposed to be a pop, not a what? Oh.
And then Cesaro's laid out, just been choked out. And at that point, fresh off an appearance at Paintball, wherever he came from, Seth Rollins shows up in the wackiest outfit I've ever seen.
And then they kick the shit out of poor Claudio again.
Yeah. I thought he was coming out. I was like, oh, wow, this could be interesting, him and Reigns. No, they just keep beating up Cesaro.
Yes. Okay, now here, that's an angle that you could do also. Have another heel come out and beat up the baby face that just lost the world title match, one of the world titles match. But in that case, then wouldn't it be better for the champion to catch, and Vince, this is another Vince expression that he hates. It used to be when you'd call a finish with guys, right? The agent or the booker, whoever, to say it's you and Jay Sharknado, and I'm the booker. I'll say, Brian, we want you to catch a quick one on Jay. Because that way, it's like, just kind of catch a quick one is supposed to make Jay Sharknado think that he's not really being beaten flat. It's like they're just snatching one real quick, right? Vince hates that expression, catch a quick one. But in this case, if Claudio had been fresher and boom, and got beat 1, 2, 3, but still was able to come up selling and looking at it, having a mean face at fucking Roman Reigns, and like, goddamn, there'll be another day. And maybe they were starting to jaw or almost get into it, and suddenly, out of nowhere, here comes Seth Rollins and jumps on Claudio from behind and Cesaro and kicks the shit out of him. But now at least you're not beating a dead body that's just already laying there on the side of the road. That would have helped make Cesaro look a little bit stronger, a little bit better. I just don't fucking understand anymore. They're doing their own thing now. They're paying some homage to wrestling by doing things that they've seen on old tapes that they don't understand the context of or the execution of, but it doesn't resemble wrestling.
They're both heels, but I'd love to see Lashley versus Roman Reigns. And then you get MVP and Heyman going back and forth on promos.
There you go. And that's exactly why, that's another reason why that you shouldn't have heels against heels or baby faces against baby faces as anything other than a once in a while thing, because then it becomes an attraction. Then it's like, wow, this is the kind of match we're not supposed to see. Why did the Midnight Express against Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson draw those incredible fucking houses for that 6 or 8 weeks we did it before they quit and went to the WWF? Because they'd never seen that match before. It had never even been teased, and both teams had been there for at least 5 years at that point, or 4 years at that point. It would work because with Lashley, Reigns could be the heel in that equation, because obviously they could book it that way, but also because Reigns is a much better trash talker and better at the facials and at being a bully and a fucking condescending, abusive motherfucker, whereas Lashley's a badass, but you could switch him into the sympathetic position, and you've got MVP and Heyman to not only do the promos, but to offset each other at ringside. So there's something for each one of them to do, and there's no way that either one of them, and that's another reason you should have Heyman interfering more. Because if he did, then when you come up against a guy that's got somebody in their corner, that's to prevent that interference. That's what makes that part an attraction. So you just illustrate all these matchups they could have that would mean something if they hadn't already taken the bloom off the rose on all the things that makes those matchups special.
Well, Jim, maybe Paul Heyman would interfere more at ringside if he had some more self-confidence, if he had more hair on his head, if he had years ago started using keeps to prevent what has happened.
That's exactly right. It's all about the confidence. And you can tell that Paul right now, he needs something to keep his head warm on those long, cold winter nights. But folks, you won't need a head warmer at all if you start right now on keeps. And as a matter of fact, I've got an email from one of our listeners. We've been talking about keeps in the past. We haven't mentioned them here lately, but they're back with a vengeance. But Lucas had written me this a couple months ago. Dear Jim, I have a gripe with one of the sponsors of the show. Last year, I began to slowly lose my hair. It terrified me as I was only 28 years old. And after hearing your many advertisements for keeps on the experience and the drive-thru, I was on the fence about trying it. But as the months went on, I was slowly losing more and more hair. So finally, I decided to look into treatment with keeps because I figured, what do I have to lose? Oh, that's right, my hair. While browsing their website, they mentioned that most men actually experience hair regrowth. I did not know this because I'm pretty sure the advertisements on your show only stress that you can keep what you have and so you don't lose any more, instead of focusing on what sold me hair regrowth. But I've been using Keeps for 6 months and am proud to report I've seen significant hair regrowth. As you've said before, it won't help grow hair on a billiard ball, but it's definitely worth trying if you're starting to lose your hair. And that's what we were talking about. So we were both right, folks, in that Keeps and everybody else is honest. If you are completely bald, if you've lost it, if you're already there, Keeps is not the right solution. It cannot reverse advanced baldness, but it does not only stop hair loss, but indeed foster the growth of some of that initial hair loss back. So the point is, we don't want to false advertise here, folks. If you're slicker than a billiard ball, you will not get much use out of this. But if you're losing your hair and you want to get a little back and fill in some of those areas there, you need to get on the Keeps. And right now, folks, as a special offer, if you go to Keeps, that's Keeps, Keeps.com/JCE, you'll get your first month of treatment absolutely free. Keeps.com/JCE. And if you go to Keeps.com, you can read the customer testimonials. You can check out actual customer photos. And it's, as we said before, it is delivered to your home in a, I don't know if it's a plain brown wrapper. I don't know about the color, but it's delivered to your home, and it doesn't have "for bald people" plastered all over it. But if you don't want to, if you don't want to go out and go to the doctor and go through all of that stuff, the folks at Keeps can take care of you. Again, Keeps.com/JCE for your first month of treatment for free, and you will end up looking like Lon Chaney Jr. in The Wolfman. Or maybe not that far.